o'clock, the antique display in the store windows. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish you were here in Loudonville this evening. At 2:30, the introduction of notables, the distinguished guests. At 3 o'clock, the pageant. Scenes that reminded Mr. Kettering of his early days. The barbershop quartet, the coon chase, the old-time square dance and the fiddlers. 1880, 1890 styles of beautiful girls, and they were beautiful too. Then the parade of old vehicles, and it finally tapered off to the vehicles of 1946. The former farm boy, Mr. Charles Kettering, he was a country school teacher. He's perhaps the state's most famous and youthful son. One who, like that other remarkable Ohioan, Thomas A. Edison, exemplifies in his career the American tradition of service to humanity through tireless, competitive, and imaginative application of one's talent. Charles Kettering's list of achievements touch almost every field of science, the most notable of which have been his invention of the automobile ignition system and the first practical self-starter, his development of the Delco farm home lighting system, his invention and development of refrigeration, his improvement of fuels for internal combustion engines, his invention of ignition systems for Liberty airplane engines in World War I, his experiments with the government in jet propulsion and rockets in World War II, his major improvements in diesel-type power plants, his development of the artificial fever therapy machine, and his invention and development of the first practical electrically operated cash registers and business machines. He is now Vice President and Director of General Motors Corporation and General Director of the General Motors Research Laboratory.
Now, Tom Manning.
Good evening, everybody. Every night at 6:25, the Grove Laboratory brings you sports from coast to coast. However, once a year, we neglect to do that because we like to present to our radio audience the big baseball question each week. That is, how much money, how much argument will it take to sign Bob Feller, the greatest pitcher in baseball? Radio friends, every year, Bob Feller has appeared on our Grove program the day that he signed his contract. So in other words, that means that Bobby Feller signed his contract this afternoon. Bob, you look great. Welcome back home.
Thank you, Tom. It's certainly fine to be here in Cleveland again, looking to the future for our next spring training.
Bob, when did you arrive in the city?
We came in this morning, Tom.
You signed your contract, right?
Yes, we signed a contract.
Bob, what officials of the Cleveland Ball Club signed with you?
Roger Peckinpah was the only official there.
What about Mr. Bradley?
Well, I spoke to Mr. Bradley on the phone.
Bob, the big question is, are there any bonus clauses in your 1946 contract?
No, Tom, we got away from the bonus clauses. We feel as if it'll be beneficial to the ball club, relieve Mr. Boudreau or Lou from a lot of headaches, and I'll be able to take my turn on the hill.
In other words, if you had a bonus clause in there, you'd want to pitch on the night games, the Sunday doubleheaders, you'd want to pitch out a turn. This way, with no bonus clause there, you don't care what the attendance is. You can knuckle down, shoot swift, win and take your turn every fourth day, and go out and win ball games.
Absolutely, Tom.
All right, that brings up the question, Bob, how many games are you going to win in 1946?
Well, I'd like to get back up 25 or 30, Tom. However, I wouldn't predict that because it takes 9 men out there to win a ball game. However, I do intend to lead the league in strikeouts again this year.
Bob, you look great to me, in fine shape. But how much did you weigh when you took off your uniform several years ago before you went to the Navy?
Just about the same I do now, Tom, 185.
About 185, is that your playing weight?
My playing weight is between 180 and 183.
And you weigh about 185 now?
Yes, I do.
Not very much weight to take off down there at spring training. Bob, how did you make out with your barnstorming tour?
Our barnstorming tour was a great thing for baseball. We had a lot of major leaguers with us, and we showed Major League Baseball in a lot of hamlets, and financially it was a great success.
Well, Bob, that gets back to the contract. Did Peckinpah give you much of an argument? Is he happy? Are you happy?
Well, Mr. Peckinpah seems to think that the ball club is going to benefit, and I'm very much satisfied, and everyone all the way around is very happy.
Bob, there's nobody present except you and I now. Could you sort of whisper in my ear, how much dough did you get? They say about 30,000, but I know that a lot more than that.
Well, Tom, I'm satisfied, and we've always made it a habit not to divulge the terms of the contract for several reasons.
Bob, you wouldn't tell an old pal, would you?
No, I don't believe I would, Tom. I just promised myself to that.
Friends, that's the world news. Now let's talk a little bit about sports. Here is today's Sports Mirror. Did you know that 1 year ago today, the National and American League club owners turned down the request of the Pacific Coast League for recognition as a third major circuit? And 3 years ago today, Amos Alonzo Stagg, College of the Pacific, was named Football's Man of the Year by the Football Writers Association of America. 5 years ago today, the New York Giants acquired first baseman Johnny Mize from the St. Louis Cardinals. They gave the Cards pitcher Bill Lorman and catcher Ken O'Day and a bundle of cash. And 10 years ago today, New York State Athletic Commission refused to bar Jimmy Braddock's proposed no-decision bout with Joe Louis in Atlantic City, this despite protests of Max Schmeling. The sports world. The amazing accomplishments of the sensational freshman star of Auburn football team, Travis Tidwell, were emphasized today in statistics released by the National Collegiate Athletic Bureau. Tidwell not only topped the country in combined yardage gained on the ground and in the air, but also was the number one passer on the basis of total completion and was the 7th best ball carrier. Tidwell handled the ball 339 times, to be far and away the workhorse back of the country. He accounted for a total of 1,715 yards in Auburn's 10 games. He completed 79 of 158 forward passes. That's a total of 943 yards. He picked up 772 yards in 181 running plays. Thus, Tidwell personally provided for 61% of his team's total gains of 2,828 yards. And he was the key man in more than one half of the 674 plays which Auburn used during the past season. The Chicago White Sox announced the signing of Buster Mills as coach. He replaces Newell Haas. Buster Mills was a former coach of the Cleveland Indians. And the Cleveland Press today named Paul Brown the Pro Football Coach of the Year. The youthful head of the Cleveland Browns was named from a list that included 4 other outstanding coaches. They are George Halas of the Chicago Bears, Steve Owens of the New York Giants, Ray Flaherty of the New York Yankees, and Buck Shaw of the San Francisco 49ers. And sporting figures the world over paid tribute today to the memory of baseball's big train, Walter Johnson, who passed away last night. Walter Johnson was 59 years old. Death resulted from a brain tumor which had kept the one-time pitching great in a hospital for the past 8 months. Probably the most fitting tribute came from owner Clark Griffith. He owns the Washington Senators, and we quote, "He was the greatest pitcher of all time. I've seen them all. I loved Walter as a son."
The ball is about 18 yards in from this side of the field. Our Atlantic Refining Company broadcasting booth is high atop the western rim of Memorial Stadium. And here's that flanker play with Whistler far out on Ohio's right. In the tailback spot is Tommy James. Spencer's in close. Spencer takes that ball and gives it to Tommy James. Tommy James is through for a couple of yards, right through the center of the line. The hole was open in there by Jay Bush and Dean. And he gets over the 10 before he's knocked down by Sulliger, backing up that line for Illinois. Referee is wiping the ball off and holding it on about the 8-yard line where it'll be 2nd down and 7. This series of offenses by the Buckeyes started on the Illinois 11-yard line. They're about 18 yards in from this side of the field, the west side. Out of the huddle, coming up over the ball is Ohio center Adam Lee. Illinois' defense is a 6-2-3. The ball goes to Spencer. He feeds it over to Whistler, and Whistler plows his way over Ohio State's right guard and right tackle. Picks up not more than a yard or so. He's caught there by Bowman, the left tackle of Illinois. Very close to that 6-yard line. Referee is still holding the ball, and of course every inch is important now. He places it on the 6-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 5 for Ohio State. The ball is exactly midway between these sideline markers, right in midfield between the sideline markers on the Illinois 6-yard line, where it is 3rd down and 5 for Ohio State. Here's that flanker play again. This time Whistler's out to the left, out beyond his own left end. And the tailback on the play is James. The ball is lateral over to Alex Berdova. Berdova is up over the line of scrimmage. He's up over the 5. He's hit there by Owens. Gets up to about the 4-yard line before he's hit by Owens and Florick, the fullback. Gain of 2 yards, so it'll be 4th down and 3 for Ohio State. The series of offenses, reminding you again, started on the Illinois 11. The ball is now exactly on the Illinois 4-yard line in possession of Ohio State. So it'll be 4th down and 3 yards to go. Out of the huddle come the Buckeyes. Here's a decision for the young quarterback, Spencer. It's a T formation. Spencer is in close. Spencer takes that ball. He fades back. He's going to throw a forward pass. It's intercepted by Illinois. And there he goes. Intercepted at the 1-yard line. And he's going for a touchdown. It is Wykovich. He's up to midfield. The Illinois. Ohio State 20. He's up to the 5. He's over for a touchdown. There is a run of some 99 yards by Wykovich. Oh, listen to that crowd.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, as we told you, this program is entirely unrehearsed. President Bill Duggan, affectionately known as Uncle Willie of the Cleveland Baseball Federation, who has done so much, along with Doik Navarro and Dr. Sterling and the board of directors, we're mighty proud of them because, as Mr. Duggan gave you the report, this year we're going to surpass all years in the history of amateur baseball in Cleveland in entries. We hope that there are enough grounds to provide fine playing conditions for the boys. It's up to you, ladies and gentlemen, who love baseball, to go out and help it along. And you heard the plans of Larry Atkins. And tonight we thought it most important in this part of the country, it's quite important throughout the nation and the boxing world, that Mr. Larry Atkins, Mr. Mike Jacobs, Mr. Jack Dempsey have come to the parting of ways again. They do that quite frequently in the boxing world. I want to thank Bill Duggan, and I want to thank Larry Atkins for dropping in on our sports parade. And this evening, ladies and gentlemen, WTAM and yours truly feel singularly privileged. Yes, we're honored in having as our guest certainly one of the first ladies of our stage. And if I may, in the words of the great Cecil B. DeMille, the all-time glamour queen of the silver screen, Miss Gloria Swanson.
Oh,
Gloria,
Tom, thank you. It has been nice.
Miss Swanson, while it's true the stage must be your current love, I witnessed your appearance this week at the Hannah Theater in Goose for the Gander, I suspect that many of our listening audience are curious as to which is closest to you, the stage or the screen.
Well, that's rather simple to answer, Tom. The one I find myself engaged in at this time, naturally is my first love. It might surprise you to learn, however, that it is neither the stage nor the screen that frightens me a little, but this silly little tiny thing here in front of me, the microphone.
Gloria, I'm not surprised. No, indeed I'm not. Believe it or not, it held much terror for me for a long time. You know, it'd be impossible for me to allow this day to pass without a few words of tribute to a great colleague. It is an especially high privilege for me as one of his early assistants. You know, I was a freshman in the game of radio when I first met Mac. It was at the World Series in Philadelphia in 1929. And well do I remember the fear that tightened my throat. Mac and I rode together down Broad Street in Philadelphia to Shibe Park. I was thinking of 130 million American people. I can imagine all of them staring at me in defiance.